So Boogie is getting harassed for saying that video games are supposed to be fun, not lectures about why being a white man is bad. And he is getting the 2014 treatment from the progressives. I will immediately explain to you what that is, and I'm pretty sure most of you have seen it. And it's so frustrating that you just can't put it in words, isn't it? Like, you just can't call it out, even though you know the people who are doing this are pieces of shit. So in 2014, you had people saying, we're sick and tired of video games getting political. Now, the progressives, instead of listening to the spirit of what you are saying, instead of trying to understand the meaning of what you are saying, they would play these shitty word games where it's like, but can you define what political is? Well, what do you mean by political? Because every game is political, right? I mean, The Witcher is political. So what exactly do you mean by video games not being political? And the answer is, this is what we mean, asshole.
Gonna tell the police you kidnapped me.
Nice try. But I know who you are and what you did in Seattle. I saw it in the paper. Maybe I should call ICE to make sure you're a citizen.
You hillbilly. I'm American.
Watch it, punk.
Whatever. You're going to jail for this.
Pretty sure the local police will vouch for me over a thug like you.
Where's my brother?
Wish I knew. Little took off. I'll find him. Don't worry.
If you touch him...
You think I'd hurt a little boy? Guess you didn't have any second thoughts about leading him out into the middle of nowhere, though. That's real safe for a little kid. If he's lucky, he won't end up like his criminal big brother.
Just let me go. Please.
You're the reason we need to build that wall. You hold tight.
Right, so now you understand the difference between Mass Effect being political because it talks about the Asari and the Quarians versus the garbage we just saw before. One of them is current daying and it's incredibly divisive. You're basically suggesting that right-wingers evil, right? And you also have like themes that police evil. Right? This is what we mean by political and current day. It's when you're afraid to use the word woman and you have to use body type A and body type B. It's when you're afraid of the female form and you have to have these grotesque Californian disfiguration that we see in modern video games. But going back to Boogie, right? Why is it that he's getting the same tactic as in 2014? Well, it's the same shit. It's like, can you name the game? Name the game that considers that white man is bad. And of course you're not going to find a game where a character just sits on a podium and decrees that the white man is evil, right? This is just word games that the progressives are doing. And when they are losing at the word games, this is why they get so enraged. And as you can see, they are enraged also due to the language they are using. It's like, oh, you're pissing yourselves, right? So like, they look at the criticism as if it's coming from people that are mentally deficient. Like, what are you talking about? You're absolutely crazy. You're insane. You belong in a mental asylum. Like, this is how they're behaving. But Dev just gave them an example. And this is why they're absolutely livid. I mean, this got 3.5 billion engagements, right? Like, they're foaming at the mouth because the word games don't work, right? Like, there are examples of that. But you don't need to give examples when you have it on record. Like, there is video evidence of CEOs from gaming companies saying that they do not want to hire white people. You have diversity consultants that take an issue whenever a main character is a white person in a video game. They're outspoken because of it. And when you play a video game and you notice that every single white guy in the game is either evil, incompetent, or both, you start to notice this pattern, and this pattern is breaking immersion. Like perfect example, I was playing one of the most popular games that probably many of you have played Disco Elysium, right? Now, when I'm playing Disco Elysium, in the back of my mind, I know that the game developer is a Marxist. Like, he's an openly Marxist individual. And while I'm playing the game, which is all about a mystery, right? So you're a police officer and you have to investigate a murder. And the murder takes place at a hotel. And there's 4 suspects. Apparently, the person that got murdered was having sex with a prostitute, so she is one of the suspects. Like, she could have been the one that murdered him. She also had a girlfriend, which was a strong woman of color that was also, like, the leader of some immigrants, if I remember correctly. Like, please forgive me if I omit some details. But like, she was the main suspect. Because, you know, like out of jealousy, out of the fact of hatred for the guy, she could have been in the balcony and have shot him. There was another suspect, like a guy that owed him money. It doesn't matter. The idea was, like, there were 4 people that could have done it. And you have to figure it out. Now, if you play the game correctly, and if you choose the correct dialogues and whatnot, all of the answers indicate towards the black lesbian woman that's the leader of the indigenous. Like, every answer is trying to say that she is the one that did it. Because she had the experience, she had the motive, the murder weapon was something similar to what she had. So like, again, all the arrows indicate to her. And I'm like, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. The game developer is a Marxist. They will never, ever have a woman of color as the villain. It's not allowed. Like their ideology considers that sinful. Like, they will not do it. And yea and behold, there was a 5th suspect that there is absolutely no way you can even know about them, because he's like a sniper that took him out from half a mile away. And the reason they did it is ideological, if I remember correctly, because they hated the company or some other nonsense. And of course, it's a white guy, right? But the point being, like, it ruined my immersion. Because it wasn't subverting my expectations, it was fulfilling my expectations, right? And when you play, like the more diverse the games are, the more progressive the people involved in making the games, they become so predictable that this is why heel versus babyface went on to his famous rant. It's because he was playing the game and you have this NPC walking up to him and he's like, oh, I got something to tell you. And heel versus babyface is already having his forehead into his palm. And he sighs in disbelief because after 2 hours of predicting everything from the game, he's like, oh God, you're trans, aren't you? And the NPC goes, I am the clone of a woman. And oh, come on. You know, it makes for bad video games. And yes, if you believe, like, if you're part of this ideology that believes that the white man is responsible for all ills of society, and you're making video games, of course that ideology is going to be placed into the work that you're having. Like, if you had, like, some Nazis making video games, even if the video game doesn't have Nazi imagery or anything, don't you think that the progressives would freak out and they would say, well, you know, these games are racist and whatnot? And you're like, well, can you give me an example? Can you give me even if you can't point to an example, the overall theme, the overall message. I mean, not to mention, didn't this start because Anita Sarkeesian was saying that games are sexist because Mario has to rescue the princess? Right? So like, if you were to ask Anita, it's like, hey, Anita, can you give me one example? Like, one example where a male character gets on a podium and says women are evil. Like, she couldn't be able to do that, right? But her criticism was at the overall themes. And this is what Boogie is saying here. And the same people that agreed with Anita now all of a sudden just can't seem to understand what Boogie is saying. Like, all of a sudden they just lower their IQ and it's like, what Boogie is saying is like talking in a different language. He just, you know, is communicating something that these people have absolutely no clue what is being discussed. So there are 2 possibilities. Number one, these people are incredibly disingenuous, in which case I don't even know why we should entertain them. Or in the second case, they genuinely believe that this ideology is normal. Like, this is grassroots. This is not forced down. This is just like the natural state of man. It wasn't normal in the 90s. It wasn't normal in the early 2000s. It's still not normal today outside the Anglosphere, because you see games coming from Japan and games coming from other places, and they don't have this shit, right? But they believe that, no, like, this is actually normality, and everything else must be extremism. So Boogie is probably an extremist or something just by saying, hey, you know what? Racism doesn't sell. Hatred doesn't sell. Bigotry doesn't sell. No, seriously, it's not profitable. It's not. The free market doesn't like that shit. Let me know what you guys think, though, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.